everyone, this is Kevin with Divinely Designed, and I have another mixed media video. This one is called Everyday Moments, and it features a picture from when I built my house. I had a open house party, and so the picture is just of me and my mom sitting in the couch. I'm using a white 12 by 12 piece of paper, and you can see I used a 1-inch punch to cut out a bunch of circles, and then I'm going to use some distress inks to shade every other one. I'm going with a green and orange theme, so every other circle is green and every other circle is orange, and I'll be filling in those circles with some other paper in just a few minutes here. I liked this green and this orange because it matched the green and orange that's in the picture itself. So I used the same punch, and I'm going to fill in those holes I cut out. Using a small circle stencil here and some Prima modeling paste. And then I'm going to put some Recollections embossing powder on top of the embossing paste in just a minute here, and kind of emboss just some of the dots themselves. This is I think it's called lime green is the name of the embossing paste. Just sort of did it in a diagonal-ish kind of pattern there. Wasn't really sure where my photo was going to go, and I'm just sort of, I knew I was going to use circles, and I had a couple of things picked out of what I wanted to use, but I wasn't totally sure what I was going to do with everything. This is some clear gesso I'm just using as an adhesive really right now. I got a few wrinkles in the paper, and I was going to redo it, but then I thought, I'm just going to leave it and go with it. It's sort of texture. And then just sort of watering down some of that clear gesso and adhering the circles. Now, I could have just left the back piece, the green there, but I liked the lighter green that I had used, so I'm going to apply the green circles as well. Just using the clear gesso to adhere them down, and then I'm going to go over the whole piece of paper with some clear gesso. When I was cutting out the circles, I thought about measuring them out and making sure they were real even, but in the end I just punched them all out and sort of just eyeballed it. There's so many of them, and there's a lot of other sort of texture and stuff on the end page. You can sort of hardly tell. They're kind of cool looking, but it didn't really matter that they weren't super even or anything. Just drying off that clear gesso, just so I have a non-porous surface to work with now, and just sort of playing around with placement. I'm going to use some sprays. This is some Heide Swapp. I think it's either lime green or citron. I can't remember the name. I like Heide Swapp sprays. They have kind of a shimmer to them. Just drying it off, and some of it, got a lot, so I use a paper towel to sort of sop up some of it. I went back with another stencil, and this time I used the sprays, just use the sprays for the stencil. This is some squeezed orange Dylusions and some Heide Swapp gold, and then I used some Heide Swapp white just to splash some dots on it. I'm going to use some Lindy's Stamp Gang here. This is the Bells of Ireland, which is kind of a darker green, and just splatter some of that all over and then dry it all off. This is a blue Fern Studio chipboard piece called Everyday Moments, which is the title for my page, and I'm going to use some Versamark ink, and then that same green embossing paste, powder, sorry. So I embossed it once, and then I heated it so the embossing, the original one was still melted, and then poured the powder over it again so I could emboss it a second time. I really like embossing the chipboard pieces twice because it makes a difference. I was going to use a different chipboard piece, but I ended up not liking it, so then I just matted the picture using some Tombo glue there on some of the same green and orange cardstock I'd used before. This is a textural element here. It's not raffia. I forget what it's called, actually, but it's from the garden section in the craft store. And then I just have some dyed hemp twine that are green and orange to kind of go along with it. My cat stopped by to say hi. So I was kind of considering what to do. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and I wasn't exactly sure kind of where to go with it, like what it needed. So you'll see in a second here, I'm going to kind of play with it, a bunch of different things. I'm going to pull out some different materials, some different textural things, and just stuff I have laying around. But first, that everyday moments didn't really stand out to me. So I'm using some Inktense watercolor pencils, and I ended up not loving this either. It just didn't stand out still enough. So I switched to a Faber Castell big brush pen, and that I think that worked better. And I'm just sort of using the pen and then sort of oh, that's my other cat to say hi. Just this little foam tip to sort of squish the Faber-Castell around. I liked how that looked then. I used some Gelattos around the edges just to darken the edges and sort of give it a frame. And I used a combination of orange and brown. And now here I'm just playing, putting some different elements on. Some things I liked, some things I didn't. I kind of played around with some stuff. This was a metal piece I ended up liking that I adhered with some brads that are orange, and I actually love the way it ended up looking. I think it looks really super cool. I took out some Prima flowers and some other paper flowers, used some of the same sprays I had used before. I also used a Lindy's, I think, fuzzy navel peach for some of them as well, but some of the others are the same. The gold and the orange and the greens. Just coloring them with the sprays. And then putting them on with some 3-in-1 glue. I think the flowers really added kind of the thing I was looking for in the leaves. It really helped, I think, kind of fill out and frame the picture a little better. Finally, just putting some more brads down at the little corner there. These were some green ones. And that was it. So here are some close-ups. I really like this page. There are those metal pieces with the brads. I love those little orange brads. They look so cool. And I really like how this came out. I love the color combination of green and orange. It looks really fun and reminds me of that fun day. So hope you enjoyed it. Comments, questions, leave them below. If you like this, click on that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, click on that subscribe button. And that's it. Thanks very much. Talk to you all later.